couple months ago I took a look at the Algolaser PIXI. It was a great compact laser and I thought it was perfect for the scale modeler. Algolaser approached me and said, would you like to check out the big brother to the PIXI? If it's anything like the PIXI in quality, I'm up for it. On opening the box, there's a couple of little packs there. The first one contains some samples, which includes a piece of black acrylic, also a bunch of coated metal business cards, some wire ties there and some Velcro. In the second box you get the quick start guides and the assembly guide to the unit. There is also a large piece of plywood to play with. And as you can see, there will be a bit of assembly need to be done to get this operational. Before we go any further, let's check out some of the specs. My unit came with a 20 watt diode laser. It also comes as a 40 watter. The working area is 400 by 410 mil, which is a great convenient size. The maximum speed, that's how fast the laser moves, is 40,000 millimeters per minute. Laser head life is about 10,000 hours. And this unit is supported by a number of different operating systems, including Windows and Mac OS. And finally, the software you can get with it is the Algolaser app and Lightburn, which is what I'll be using. To assemble the Alpha Mk2, you get a small little toolbox with all the bits and pieces that you need. There's a wrench there, that's for the laser module head. You also get a set of keys. Very important, do not lose these or else you won't be able to switch on the Mark II. That little thing on the right there is the focusing tool. Also some clips to keep the cables down, and you can see a whole bunch of screws in there as well. So let's start the assembly. I'm starting off with the left Y-axis rail. And normally when I assemble these type of units, I put in the first couple of screws very loosely. That way it just makes it easier for me to align all the rest of the screws. Once they're in, I can then tighten them all up for a very secure fit. One thing I did notice during the assembly is how sturdy these aluminium rails are. This unit really feels like it's well made. 4 corners, so you have to go through this process 4 times. Underneath the control panel is that Wi-Fi antenna. First cable we need to connect is to the right Y-axis motor, and then we tuck in the cables nice and neatly into the clips. Next step is to adjust the tension on the drive belt, and you can see it's pretty floppy when we first get started, and there's a tension screw on the side, and just a matter of screwing that a little bit tighter and pulling it across, and that tensions up the belt. My tension guide was to simply move the bracket up and down until I got a nice smooth even tension on that movement. Next bit to assemble was the X-axis. That holds the laser module, and it has 2 screws on both sides, and there are 2 more tension screws that need to be added to the unit. So far the assembly has been pretty straightforward and easy. I then run the small loom through the support brackets along the left Y-axis rail. This cable then connects to the underside of the full color display screen. These plugs can only go in a certain way, so don't force them or you will damage them. Next is the drive shaft that connects the 2 Y-axis motors. You also get a couple of these connectors for the drive shaft, and these go on each end of that drive shaft. Fun fact, on the website it shows this unit with 1 Y-axis motor. For some reason I've got 2, so this may be an updated version. Once those connectors are connected, it's a matter of tightening the 2 screws on each connector. And be careful, don't over tighten it. Next, I run the cable to the actual laser module, and I put that through the 2 little supports there. And the module just slides straight in, and there's a little lever which then levers upwards and locks it into place. I then plug in the power lead. With the unit you receive 3 short air hoses. The first one plugs into the top of the laser module, then just a matter of running it through those support little brackets. Then it plugs into the side there. The second short hose also plugs into that same module, and this is the air assist pump. You can control it manually, you can control it through the software or through the control panel on the actual laser unit. And finally, the third air hose. You'll see it's got a coupler there. One end plugs into the air assist unit. You can see it's a bit of a tight fit, but that's a good thing. You won't have any leaks. And the other end connects up to hose number 2. With the air hose all connected up, let's plug it in. First, the power supply from the DC 24 volt power adapter. That's the power as well as the control cable to the air assist and the USB cable that goes straight to the computer. As I said earlier, you can control the air assist manually just using this little control panel. It's got a little LED readout there up to 100%. We also have this honeycomb platform, and on the back of that is a steel plate, because guess what? It's not a good thing to be able to cut straight through the product into the bench. We don't want that. Time to get the unit all powered up. Turning on the key to get some power, turning off the emergency button and pressing the power switch enables our touchscreen. On boot up, there's a couple of minor things we need to set up. The language is already pre-selected for me, which is English. When we hit next, it automatically finds the Wi-Fi services around my area. I'm picture perfect. Of course, I'm not going to show you my password. If you've done that correctly, it'll connect successfully, and we're on to the next step. We can scan the QR code for some more information, and voila, we're straight into the menu. Because we have the Wi-Fi connected, the unit automatically detected that there was a firmware upgrade. So while we're at it, let's do it. It did take a little bit longer than that. I cut out a whole bunch of stuff because you don't want to be sitting there watching it upgrade. But that section took about maybe 3-4 minutes to complete. So far so good. Gotta admit, it's been pretty easy to get to this point. And since I did the review of the PIXI laser, this whole menu feels very familiar to me. So just into the control sections, you can control the laser module where it moves up and down with the Y or the X axis. You can also control the speed of it and also the power. Next is the air pump. You can control how much air is pumping through the laser head. You can control the flow through either the plus or the minus sign, or you can control it with the slider on the left hand side there, or even through the software on your PC. Next section we can have a look at is the enclosure. Problem is I don't have an enclosure, so this feature doesn't really apply to me, but you can control the fan, or I'm not sure if that's the camera or the light. My first test piece will be 3mm ply, and I'll be using the focusing tool to adjust the height from that piece of ply. For the first test run, I'm just going to use one of the example pieces that are on the machine, and just scrolling through a couple of the samples there, and I'm kind of yeah, whatever. I think I'll go back to the very first one, which is the Algolaser logo. That's pretty nice, and it's got a nice little engraving there. First thing we need to do is to make sure our pieces are aligned properly, and we hit the frame button, and you can see the laser module isn't tracking in the right area. So we go back to the control panel and move our axes up or across. We then hit the frame button once again, and you can see that the laser module now tracks in the correct area. Now I'm happy with all that. Let's do a bit of engraving. Hit the start button and off she goes. I did speed up the footage here because it took about, I think it was about 8 minutes of it to engrave, then cut out the little Algolaser. What is it? I don't even know what it is. It is a little stand of some sort. Before we go any further, a word of warning here. Make sure you're in a very well ventilated area, or you've got some type of extraction fan, or you're in a big open space like I am, because this thing lets off a lot of smoke. So far this test is looking great. That cut line is really clean and precise. So let's check out our result. That engraving is probably about 1/2 mil deep, and it looks really nice and clean. Really like the finish of that, and also as you can see the cut outline is really nice and crisp. Pops in fairly well into the support base. I still don't know what this thing is, but it did come out rather well. Next I thought I'd have a bit of a play with the Algo type, And what this area does, it gives you the ability to do a whole bunch of typing into the machine and then engrave straight onto your products. So you don't have to go through a computer or anything like that. I'm going to do a test piece with Scale Model Geek like I normally do. You can change the size of the text as well as the type of font that you're using, which you get a whole of 2 choices. Now the material at the moment is birch plywood, but I'm going to change that to a metal because I'm going to do this on some business cards. And the business cards are metal and they're coated. So it's a matter of scrolling down the menu, finding out the type of material you're using. And in my case, of course, it happens to be on the very last panel. And that's the coated metal, just second from the top there. On this particular panel, you get a whole bunch of presets and it shows you a picture of what looks like metal and the intensity of the engraving you wish to achieve. I then hit next and then move my little text to the middle of the screen. Off camera, I've already framed it and then I hit start to start engraving. Now this section took me like 40-50 seconds to complete. Very quick. And it's actually looking really good. I'm happy with this. And there's the final result. Well, viewers, that was pretty easy. Next test I did, I engraved on some 3mm birch plywood, and as you can see, it's okay. And I think that's got to do with the type of material that I'm using, because I tried it also on some 3mm MDF, and this came out so much better. The text is so crisp and really well highlighted, and when you compare the two, it's chalk and cheese. The MDF is far denser than the ply, so you get much better results. For the next piece, I'm using some black acrylic. For this, I also used some of the supplied test files on the machine. This took about 8.5 minutes to engrave. I did use the presets that were available on the machine, and it actually came up pretty well. Looks good. Okay, let's get a bit more serious now. In Lightburn, let's add the Alpha Mk2. We do that by hitting devices, then find my laser, which it automatically does a search for. It then pops up on the screen, as easy as that. Add device, it automatically works out the work area. Now I just renamed that to Algolaser Mark II. Hit next, then finish, and it's done. Yes, it is easy as that. I then select my device and this sets up my workspace. For the final test pieces, I'm using these window arches, and I've got them, as you can see there, in 3 different sizes. The first size being around 74mm in height. These test files are the same as I used for the PIXI. On the second window, I've shrunk it down to about 50mm in height, and the third piece down to 30mm in height. For the test material, I'll be using some 1mm box board, which is a high density cardboard. I've adjusted the cutting settings to 1200mm per minute and the strength of the power at 70%. This whole process will take under 1.5 minutes to complete. Off camera, I've already framed the piece, and now it's a matter of hitting start to start the job. I personally use a lot of boxboard in my builds. It's a great material to use. I have it in 4 different thicknesses from 1mm right up to 2.5mm. This boxboard has almost no smoke to the cut. So let's check out our final pieces. I've got to admit, I'm really happy with this result. Those cut lines are really precise and clean. This is the largest 74mm piece. Those window struts are only 1mm in width. This now is the 40mm one, and those window struts are 0.6 of a mil in width. So they're tiny, and they've come up really nice, very precise as well. The final piece, which is the 30mm piece, has those window struts at 0.3 of a millimeter in width. That one had a few problems. The struts look pretty good, it's just the top end of the arch kind of went too thin and collapsed a bit. I think with a bit of tweaking of the file, it might come out alright. Final thoughts? I think this is a great laser, And the big advantage this has over the PIXI, the little brother, is the fact this has a 400mm work area where the PIXI only has 100mm. But the advantage of the PIXI is because it's a smaller, less powerful laser, it gives you more precision on smaller bits. The software is exactly the same on both machines, but the price difference is probably one that will deter some people. The Algolaser Alpha Mk2 is 4 times the size over the Algolaser PIXI, but the price is twice over what it is of the PIXI. If you're curious about these lasers, go and check out my affiliate links in the description. In the meantime, go and check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you in the next build.